That last scene when all three of you were in the same outfit walking was so powerful. It was three generations of Black Hollywood,
Yeah.
but it's like looking at you carrying that torch. How does it feel to know that, like you said, you've got to carry that chef name, but in like your own way?
It was surreal, to be honest. It was like this entire process led up to that moment. The audition and everything, just like talking to people, figuring out like how I could possibly get attached to this project, and then being on set with Sam and Richard every day. Everything kind of led up to moving from Atlanta, where we shot most of the film, coming into Harlem, and then like just being in New York City, throwing on those coats and walking across the street. It was like everything kind of built up to that exact moment, and at that time, it was like an outer body experience. It was as if I was still on the sidewalk watching myself walk beside these guys across the street with that heavy coat on.
It was a heavy coat.
Heavy coat. It was
Yeah, it's like three
tons of
cows,
people.
three cows in each
Yeah,
coat.
yeah, but it was incredible.
Chef belongs to us in a very specific kind of way. We don't have a lot of mythology, but the mythology we have, we revere a lot. And the character like John Shaft, the character Richard created, means a lot to us because all of a sudden he was the guy we wanted to be. We wanted to be the sex machine for all the chicks. We wanted to be cool, we wanted to be tough, and we wanted to look good while we were doing it. And there's a certain amount of community respect that he demanded because he was that person. So when I got hold of it, there was still a certain obligation that I had to be what he created, but not him. So I was allowed to be an angrier, kind of more aggressive Shaft in a different time. But I still had to dress well. And I guess the coolest thing, sex machine thing I had was, it's my duty to please that booty. Which I thought was the corniest thing I'd ever heard when they said, say this. I was like, for real? Say that? But you got an obligation to this name. And in this cool, dangerous, awesome Harlem that Richard created and that I inhabited in another kind of way, you got obligations. And part of that obligation is upholding this name. So let's go ahead and get you fixed.
Regina, you were like, you're just funny on your own in general, but to play, the role, like you said, of a strong Black woman, but also you were funny in this role. How much of yourself do you put into a role like this? Specifically, I'm thinking about that, in the bathroom when you're going off, and I'm like, oh, I said that in the mirror before too. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? How much of your own life do you, did you take into that?
I mean, I think especially for that, you do think of like, we've all had that moment where we've seen an ex. You want to be over him. You play it coy in front of them, but you're really mad and really affected. And so I think, you bring in the situation. And sometimes, when you look back in history and you do love someone, you're like, I thought it was going to be easier to find that again, and I haven't. And now I hear her, and I have regret. But like she said, it's life, and it's so many things that have to come together for that realization. But I also think you have to have really loved the person, to have really care what they think. Yeah.
Music plays such a big role in every Shaft movie. Think from Isaac Hayes and the soundtrack in the first Shaft. And now I just want to know, like, the music in this movie, it was, started off 93 till infinity. And then, we're going throughout different eras in hip hop all throughout the movie. How did you all pick this soundtrack and just the different songs to kind of play on each scene?
As soon as I got the movie, I started, just downloading songs, just like putting my own playlist together, just because I knew this music was so important. As you said, we all know that when it comes to a Shaft movie, you're waiting to see what the music is because it's another character, and a strong character, and I just knew everything from Rick James and Mary Jane, and just even Eric B and Rakim. There were so many of these that I also loved. Even Das Effect. I just kind of wanted to make sure that while you were watching this movie, you were kind of dancing in it all. And I also know that so many of these songs, as soon as you hear them, they take you to a place. And if I could do that for you in the film, it would be enjoyable.
There's a moment when Shaft Jr. at the end, he's trying to be different than his dad, clearly. He's like a one-woman man, but then you see, like, as he walks by with the duster on, the lady looks, and I'm like, is he going to, like, metamorphosize into his dad at one point? Because this is a movie that could keep going on and on and on. And I'm like, are they going to save him as the nice guy, or is he going to turn into Shaft 2.0?
You know, that's what Jesse and I have had a fun time talking about. That in the event we get the chance to do this again, you don't want him to ever become what Sam is, or even what Richard is, because he has to remain in his own skin. And I think that's a little bit of kind of the movie. There's a little message I'm also saying, which is perfect you. You know, perfect. And when you look at Sam and Shav, when he has figured out who he is, he doesn't change. And I think with Jesse, I think I'd always want to keep a little bit of a I always got to keep him Jesse. I think he's going to find ways to be in the Shaft family, as you might say, but still be him.